Section 7 of the Penny Magazine of the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge, Issue 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Penny Magazine of the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge, Issue 2, by Charles Knight. Poesie. George Wither, born 1588, died 1677. Though I miss the flowery fields, with those sweets the springtide yields, though I may not see those groves where the shepherds chant their loves, and the lasses more excel than the sweet-voiced Philomel, though of all those pleasures past nothing now remains at last, but remembrance, poor relief, that makes, then mends my grief. She's my mind's companion still, maugre envy's evil will. She doth tell me where to borrow comfort in the midst of sorrow, makes the desolated place to her presence be a grace, and the blackest discontents be her fairest ornaments. In my former days of bliss her divine skill taught me this, that from everything I saw I could some invention draw, and raise pleasure to her height through the meanest object's sight. By the murmur of a spring, or the least bough's rustling, by a daisy whose leaves spread, shut when Titan goes to bed, or a shady bush or tree, she could more infuse in me than all nature's beauties can in some other wiser man. By her help I also now make this churlish place allow some things that may sweeten gladness in the very gall of sadness. The dull loneness, the black shade that those hanging vaults have made, the strange music of the waves beating on these hollow caves, this black den which rocks emboss, overgrown with eldest moss, the rude portals that give light more to terror than delight, this my chamber of neglect, walled about with disrespect. From all these, and this dull air, a fit object for despair, she hath taught me by her might to draw comfort and delight. Therefore, thou best earthly bliss, I will cherish thee for this. Poesie, thou sweetest content that e'er heaven to mortals lent, though they as a trifle leave thee, whose dull thoughts cannot conceive thee, though thou be to them a scorn that to naught but earth are born. Let my life no longer be than I am in love with thee. George Wither, the author of the above lines, was several times subjected to long and severe imprisonment for his political opinions. While in the Marshalsea prison in 1613, he wrote his Shepherd's Hunting, a pastoral poem, from which this is an extract. The verses are not only beautiful in themselves, but they point out how a vigorous mind will secure happiness under the most unfavorable circumstances. The imagination of Wither was delighted to repose upon the most common and natural objects, and in the same way the man who possesses the least of the outward gifts of fortune, if his faculties be awake to the beauties which nature has so plenteously scattered around his path, may possess in himself a source of pleasure of the purest kind. The rapture which Wither expresses for Poesie may to some appear overstrained, but let it not be thought that the poet attributed this power of imparting delight to his faculty alone of making verses. The exercise of his fancy, by which he could raise pleasure to her height, consisted in presenting to his mind's eye the infinite beauties of the creation. The daisy, whose remembrance gladdened even his prison walls, brought to him images of the quiet and purity of the flowery fields. Such images everybody may enjoy, and may gradually learn to associate the commonest appearances of nature with a high moral feeling. We have many instances of this power of association in our finest poets. Let us take as an example the following lines by a writer of our own day. To a Daisy. Bright flower, whose home is everywhere, a pilgrim bold in nature's care, and oft the long year through, the heir of joy and sorrow, methinks that there abides in thee some concord with humanity, Given to no other flower I see the forest thorough. And wherefore? Man is soon depressed, a thoughtless thing, who once unblessed Does little on his memory rest, or on his reason. But thou wouldst teach him how to find a shelter under every wind, A hope for times that are unkind, and every season. Wordsworth. Section 7.